Let's kick over to Packers Lions. Obviously, the other marquee game this week that we wanted to discuss. I'm actually much more interested in what you guys had to say watching that game, as not necessarily having a horse in the race, unless again chaos, or I guess probably wanting maybe both teams to find a way to lose or choke. But how did you guys view the game? So I'll start with you. How did you view that game from a more neutral standpoint?
Paul and I said in last show that we wanted to see the Packers to win, and the Packers won. I did not want to see them win like this. It felt like all of the things that we were talking about last week as things that could go right for them this game and propel them to the next level happened. I mean, in 29 snaps, I think it was 29, Micah Parsons, almost every single time he was in there, made some huge play, whether it was getting that pressures over Penei Sewell for the Evan Williams interception. Like, the defense looked completely transformed. And that energy carried over onto the offense too, right? The Packers offense we were promised last year, where Jordan Love would throw the ball to whoever's open, even if that's 10 or 11 different guys a game, and they'd run an efficient offense. Obviously, there was a little bit of gunslinging that they were happy to get called back on those borderline, what should have been 2 interceptions. But overall, the Packers looked like a team that's here to win the NFC North, that's here to compete for a Super Bowl. And all of the things, as a Vikings fan, I was sitting back saying, maybe Micah Parsons, he did great in Dallas, but maybe he's not going to make an immediate difference for the Packers. Maybe Jordan Love's going to struggle a little bit coming out of the gate. Maybe we can build up some wins and try and sneak for the division. It's starting to look like the Packers really are that team.
Yeah,
love to hear it.
It has the makings of a special season in Green Bay. Like, everything is there for this to be that year. But the more I'm thinking back on this game, like, I sort of in the same way that the Bears, even though they were, dominating on the scoreboard for a while, I didn't think Green Bay was dominating Detroit throughout most of the game up until the fourth quarter, where even when you were watching the drives, Detroit had a 16-yard drive, a 13-yard drive, and a 9-play 60-yard drive that resulted in 6 points. Like, they were moving the ball. They would just have, Green Bay's defense was bend, don't break, essentially, earlier on in the game. And if Jordan throws that pick 6 to Branch, if there's not that holding penalty, 17-13, I don't know where this game goes. So I think the initial reaction that people are having of Green Bay is just Green Bay's a monster, that could be true. But I don't think it's fair to look at Detroit, and people are saying that this might be the biggest drop off of any team from last year, that of the 5 contenders coming in, the Lions, Eagles, Chiefs, Ravens, and Bills, Detroit will be the one to fall off. I think that's a little unfair because they wound up getting blown out. And in the fourth quarter, Green Bay showed you what they could do, and Parsons getting the sack. Like, that was electrifying.
Yep.
But I don't think Detroit was as bad as people are saying. I also do acknowledge, though, like, watching Green Bay, if Love plays like that first half, Love, and we've talked about consistency with him because he came out on fire, kind of regressed a bit in the second half. I mean, he was still good, but Green Bay has that makings of this can be really scary if it all comes together. And I didn't even think it was, it wasn't a perfect game from the offense, and they still looked pretty good against what should be one of the better defenses in the NFL.
The interesting thing that you mentioned there is what's kind of bizarre about that game is I actually felt like Green Bay left more on the field than Detroit did, and Green Bay still won, but easily, right? Like, you had the 2 mistakes, but like Jordan missed one to Tucker. Jordan missed an RPO to Jaden Reed. Quay Walker could have had a pick at the end. Jaden Reed dropped a deep ball down the field that I thought Jordan put on him perfectly that he could have came up with. I actually felt like there was more meat on that bone for Green Bay. To your point, if there isn't the penalty, which was a little bit of a weak holding penalty on that one, he definitely got a little bit, but was definitely at that a little bit on the weaker side. Brian Branch made an unbelievable play on that.
He's so good.
As I was going through and grading that play or whatever, I'm like, it's not the greatest decision from Jordan, but like if I'm probably looking at it from his viewpoint, I'm like, there's no way I'm thinking that Brian Branch is coming up with that interception. At like a worst case, he makes like a diving pass breakup, and there's no way he's coming up with a pick, much less a pick 6 out of that play. He's just an absolute monster. But I was going to save this till the end, but now where you kind of went with it, I want to ask you guys now. I mean, maybe if you saw it, then it is going to be lame already. But what do you think the now current odds are in the NFC North per Vegas to win the NFC North?
Have you seen it, Ziggy?
I have not. I would guess the Packers Vegas usually doesn't overreact. I would guess the Packers are probably somewhere around like plus 130, plus 140.
Okay.
So moving up a bit, but
who do you think is second?
It has to still be Detroit.
Ziggy, I don't know. Is it still Detroit? Because didn't their win total drop from 10.5 to 8.5? I did hear that.
No, I'm sticking with it. Packers, Lions, Vikings, Bears. There's no way anything else happened.
Paul?
That's the reason. I think that's the correct order, but I'm gonna guess it's Packers, Vikings, Lions, Bears, and I think the Packers are like going to be plus 110, and Minnesota will be like plus like 280 or something.
Well, that's a really good guess on Minnesota. First of all, Green Bay is minus 120 to win the division.
Wow.
Minnesota is plus 290 at number 2. Detroit is plus 400 at number 3. And Chicago is plus 1,000 at number 4. I was pretty stunned when I saw like that is a big, like Detroit and Green Bay were like neck and neck at like plus 170, 180 going back and forth going into that week. For Green Bay just to now be like the faraway favorites and Detroit to go to plus 400, that is a pretty incredible swing for 1 week.
That's Vegas is essentially telling you it's Green Bay's division to lose at this point. And,
very much so.
Yeah.
And I can see why. I mean, it wasn't just that the Packers won the game. It's that I can't remember the last time I've seen this Packers team so fast. Like I went back and watched some of the all 22 from this Packers Lions game. Guys were just flying all over the field. I mean, Edgerrin Cooper, I know fans gave us some flack, Paul, for like hyping him up before the season, saying that he could be the real difference maker for this Packers defense. Every single thing I wanted to see from him, we saw this game. Like they dominated. I know that, Paul, you said the score didn't look dominating and Brian Branch could have come over that play, and that was true. But to go and just out physical Detroit, to be faster, to be stronger on the lines, to have good secondary play for the most part, that I didn't expect to see, even if I thought the Packers would come away with a win.
Oh, by the end, it was a blowout. Like by the end, it had the feel of a blowout. By the Parsons sack that I saw someone put out, I think it was NFL Memes put out a video. It said it was like Parsons chasing Goff looks like the cheetah chasing the gazelle that you know is screwed. And it was just so funny. But yeah, it was a ridiculous game to watch. It did not make me feel good. And Andy, I wanted to ask you actually, I thought that it was the best feeling Packers fans have had. It was the most optimism I've got from that fan base since the Cowboy win in 2020. I guess it was 2024, right? The early 2024. Like that, to me, you guys are coming out of this game. It's almost like all of you think a Super Bowl, like it is now Super Bowl or bust officially.
It's very funny because you can very much tell where Packers fandom is based on the Pack-A-Day podcast ratings. Like you can tell when things are going very, very well, very easily, because right now people cannot get enough Packers content at all. People are freaking out. People are very excited. And to your point, like this has a very like playoff win sort of feel to it coming off of that game. I'll put it this way. If Vikings fans are expecting maybe just, it's just like, let's crown the Pack. I think this is a long season left. I think Green Bay is going to have to face some adversity and we'll see where this ultimately ends up. I think week 1 is wonky, and I think we usually overreact to week 1. And I think it's the worst week to react to, even though I think we get the most because it's our first impressions of everyone in week 1 for all the teams. But I think that, we'll see where this thing is at in 4, 6, 8. I mean, heck, we're going to get a great view of Green Bay again going against Washington on Thursday Night Football right away to see where they're at. But I will say this from a positive standpoint, that in stadium, and I'm not talking fan crowd noise, anything like that. I'm talking Packers energy on the field. That felt really different. That felt very special. And I've seen obviously 96. I've seen 2010. I've seen some very talented and just hyped up and excited Packers teams. I probably know that like we know like these usually end in heartache more than they lead in Super Bowl victories, right? But that definitely felt a very large level different than I've seen, certainly from like this version of the team. But even thinking back to like 2020 when they were in the NFC Championship game, it was very much on par with some of the energy, if not even a little bit more than I think I saw from some of those 2020, 2021 teams. So there's definitely a palpable excitement. You can feel it. It's tangible. And I think now the big question is like, you are week 1 at home in a massive game against Detroit. I expect that to carry over against Washington. Week 2, a massive game against Washington at home again. But like when you get later in the season and you're going on the road to wherever and like you don't have that same, can you still create that energy on your own? Again, a long season to go, but that definitely felt a degree different and a degree of special at Lambeau on Sunday.
The thing that concerned me the most as a Viking fan, it wasn't actually Jordan Love, because I thought he looked great. And the first half he looked great, and that's super encouraging for Packers fans. Every single time Micah Parsons walked on the field, there was an electricity. Even coming off the television screen, you had the announcers were like, who was announced? It was Romo and Nance, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Nance was like, and Parsons is on the field here, and you could even just walking on the field, the crowd was giving him a standing ovation. I can't remember the last time, especially a defender, was traded to a team and you had this sort of like rallying around him. I mean, it felt sort of like Aaron Rodgers running onto the field for the Jets before he tore his Achilles. Yeah. Like it was just electrifying in the stadium. And every time he was on the field, he made a play. What did he finish with? He had a sack, a forced interception. Like he was a monster.
Yeah, so he had 29 snaps. He had a sack, the one everyone saw. He forced an interception to Evan Williams. He had a pressure that led to an incompletion, a pressure that led to a sack. Here's some more fun ones for you. For NFL Pro,
thank you.
Jared Goff got rid of the ball more than a half second quicker, 2.8 seconds rather than 3.36 seconds when Micah Parsons was on the field. His clock literally sped up because Micah Parsons was on the field. Per Dan Orlovsky, on the 29 snaps that Parsons played, the Packers sacked Jared Goff 3 times and permitted 2.4 yards per play, and the longest play was 16 yards when he was on the field. Per Next Gen Stats, in the 7 plays that Micah Parsons, Lucas Van Ness, and Rashawn Gary played together, the Packers allowed a total of 6 yards in those 7 plays. They're just scraping the tip of the iceberg of what they're eventually going to be able to do with him when he is fully healthy, not not in game shape yet, able to play 40, 50 snaps, etc. I'm not going to lie. I'm sorry, guys. It's very, very exciting right now to be a Packers fan.
That is the scary thing, is that the effect we talked about before the game of having Micah be Micah and then letting Rashawn Gary have a little bit of an easier time. Van Ness, he took the jump, right? In that game, he took the jump that people wanted to see. It did trickle down to the whole defense. And from the, behind the enemy lines thing, it's not the offense that I'm worried about just yet. If Love plays on that first half level, good luck, you're screwed against Green Bay. The concern to me, and Ziggy, let me know if you agree, the defense could be really, really good. And that was what I sat back and went, that's the difference. Like that feels unique from what they've had in the past.
Yeah, I mean, the energy went both ways, right? We're talking a lot about Micah Parsons bringing energy to the Packers, but on that sack of Jared Goff, that's the fastest Micah Parsons has ever run on a sack for his career. Like the energy's going into him too. He's finally in an organization that wins games. I mean, I know he got some nice 12-win regular season wins out of the Cowboys, but I'm excited to see what he's going to be able to do this season in an organization where things run a little bit better than they did in Dallas. I mean, I'm not excited, right? Like I have to sit here as a Vikings fan and think, I'm glad that we don't have to play Green Bay until November. That gives more time maybe for JJ McCarthy to settle in. But like, if I'm JJ McCarthy, I don't want to play this Packers defense. Having to play him twice, that sounds terrible. Give me anything else.
I can't believe you guys got Micah Parsons still. Like the first time, it hit me after the trade, but it's kind of like, football hadn't started yet. When you guys had Detroit, and I actually think this is when the blowout officially started. When you had Detroit backed up on their goal line, and I think Romo circled Micah and Rashawn Gary, and they just cut to Micah in this truly menacing stance. I looked over at everyone I was watching the game with and went, holy crap, he's a Packer. And you guys lit him up on that drive. That to me started the avalanche of, okay, this got out of hand here. And look, if you beat Washington on Thursday, it is the nightmare start that every other NFC North team envisioned could happen after the Micah trade. And at that point, let me ask you, Andy, do you think that right now are the Packers the team to beat in the NFC for you? You're a reasonable guy.
Yeah, in the NFC North, yes. In the NFC, I mean, I still think Philly's really, really good. I mean, if everything goes according to plan, I think you end up with a heavyweight fight between Philly and Green Bay in that NFC Championship game. Now, nothing ever goes according to plan. I'm not even just talking from a Packers standpoint. Like, there are going to be other teams that have a say in this for sure through the course of this. And it's usually not the teams that peak early that are the ones that are peaking late. So this is a long freaking season, right? But I think if you were to simulate this out the way things are sort of expected right now, I think you get a heck of a rematch. And I say rematch. Philly just, completely, dominated Green Bay for the most part in that playoff game last year and then went on to win a Super Bowl. But, I think that would be a heck of a game in an NFC Championship to see who ultimately goes to the Super Bowl.
Notice, Ziggy, how as I was going, trying to get Andy to mention the Vikings, not even a thought. Not even a thought that the Vikings could be a distraction here.
Not quite yet. I'll just put it that way. JJ McCarthy doesn't lose games. So if he's just got like some, he sold his soul where like, hey, I'm going to lose like one every 30 games in my life. Like, hey, then like I have to be a little bit more worried about it. But as of right now, not on the radar, but hey, it's not impossible.
I mean, JJ McCarthy is on rate to have the highest winning percentage of any quarterback in NFL history. He might never lose a game in the NFL if he keeps this up.